The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson.
Can a good man ever be whole without evil? Does an evil man live his life without any dregs of conscience in his heart? As a scientist, a doctor of medicine, I would say, what a foolish question. But as a man, I believe that somehow the evil can be destroyed, leaving only good behind. Therefore, I have dedicated my professional career to saving not the body, but the soul of humanity.
We commend his body to the ground. Ashes to ashes, earth to earth, dust to dust.
Amen.
Amen.
My condolences, Henry.
You know, I never thought he'd actually die. He survived typhoid, an amputated leg, several bouts of severe influenza, and still he wouldn't give up. I think he made a deal with Lucifer.
Well, he always was tenacious, whatever else you might say about him.
Yes. Something ironic, a man who so refused to change with the times being hit by a tramcar. I noticed no one else came to the service.
He wasn't exactly a popular man.
No. No, he wasn't.
I'll give you a moment.
Goodbye, Father.
And therefore, if I may come to the end of my speech...
Oh, you must. I need a good glass of whiskey after the day I've had.
If I may come to the end of my speech, let me raise a glass to my good friend, Henry Jekyll.
Doctor?
Dr. Henry Jekyll. Not only on this, his birthday, but also on his engagement to the lovely Miss Sarah Carew. To Dr. Jekyll and Miss Carew.
To Jekyll and Miss Carew.
Oh, cheer up, John. It might never happen. Do you never smile?
Sometimes, Richard. Sometimes.
Emily, what are you doing?
Taking a gentle sip. Father says gulping down one's drink is unladylike.
That's not what I meant, and you know it.
I'm allowed to have fun too, you know. Father says I'm not allowed out by myself before I'm 20 without an escort, and he never wants to go where I do.
Father is a member of Parliament. He doesn't have time to go out to the theatre or the ballet whenever you want to.
But you're going to be married soon. You'll be too busy with your new husband to go along with me. And once you're married, I'll be expected to be married too. I can't meet eligible bachelors if I'm shutting down the house all day.
Emily, you're 15. You don't live in a Jane Austen novel. You won't go sour once you turn 20.
Indeed. My wife was 25 when we were engaged.
There. You see?
I suppose I'll just be sad to lose you, sister.
You'll never lose me, dear Emily. Emily!
So, Henry, tell us about this latest theory of yours.
I'm glad you asked, Harry. You see, it is my belief that by careful study of a
Oh,
man...
Henry, please. You aren't at the lecture hall now. Tonight is about enjoying yourself.
Well, I enjoy my work, Sarah.
Even more than spending time with me?
Oh, no, of course... Sarah, you are a tease.
You've found yourself quite a woman, Henry.
And I have found myself quite a man, Dr. Lanyon.
I hear a number of prospective suitors found themselves quite disappointed and rather surprised that such a lady of high breeding would choose a simple doctor like our Henry here.
Breeding and wealth are not everything a woman desires, Dr. Lanyon.
So you might find yourself a wife after all, Harry.
Could your father not be here tonight?
I spoke to Sir Danvers. He said he wanted his daughter to feel so she could enjoy herself without feeling self-conscious.
Ah, what a thoughtful man. Ah, good evening, Lucy.
Good evening, Dr. Lanyon.
Thank you, Mr. Utterson.
Think nothing of it.
I know Father will come round to Henry's ideas sooner or later. I just hope it will be before the wedding, or he'll never want to give me away.
For that, I cannot blame him.
You're such a smooth talker, John. You should have stayed in the courtroom, shared your silver tongue with the world.
I find private business practices much more agreeable these days.
If you'll excuse me, gentlemen, I just need to go and powder my nose.
Henry, there's something I really must discuss with you.
Can't it wait?
No. Henry, as your solicitor, and as your friend, I have to say I'm concerned about some of your recent financial dealings. You've spent almost half of the family trust money in your research, and the conditions in your father's will stipulate...
I never wanted that man's money. But now he's finally dead, I can put it to some good use.
A clause in your father's will stipulates that you cannot take money from your inheritance if you have otherwise bankrupted yourself. It was deliberately included to prevent you from ruining yourself.
My father never cared if I ruined myself or not. Surprised he didn't have the money buried with him.
Henry.
John, I need that money. Every shilling of it must go towards my research, to my laboratory at the college.
And how much will be left for Sarah? Henry, you are going to be married before the year is out. Sir Danvers is a good man, but he will not let his daughter marry a pauper with no prospects.
And he won't. When I have developed the chemical formula required to prove my theory, I will have no need of the trust fund.
If you can develop it, Henry. If.
I thought at least you had faith in me.
I do, Henry, I do, but... Wait, I've just remembered. I haven't given you your birthday present. Happy birthday, Henry.
Oh, thank you, John. I might almost pass for a gentleman.
I thought you might take it along to the board meeting tomorrow.
I'll need more than a fancy cane to convince those misers to part with any funding. But, thank you, John.
Excuse me, gentlemen, but a little fireworks display has been arranged in your honour, if you'd like to come out into the garden. Courtesy of Sir Danvers Carew.
Ah, there you go, Henry. The old curmudgeon loves you after all.
And what old curmudgeon would that be, Dr. Lanyon?
Why,
Oh, Sarah, you truly are one of a kind.
And don't you forget it. Now, come along, everyone. Let's see what Father has put on for us.
Where the devil is he?
I'm sure that Dr. Jekyll has a perfectly good reason for being late, Sir William.
Pah! He had better get here soon. I have another engagement at 4.
When do you not have an engagement, my dear?
It isn't my fault I'm in such high demand. You're just jealous, Freddie.
Damn right I am! I want that minuted. At last!
Ah, Henry, good to see you.
Oh, thank you, Sir Danvers. I must apologise for my lateness. I just had a flash of inspiration for my next lecture.
Let us begin. This meeting is now in session. A request for funding for Proposition 929 by Dr. Henry Jekyll. The Right Honourable Sir William Sayer, GCMG presiding. Also in attendance are Sir Danvers Carew, KBE, Dr. Frederick March and Lady Evelyn Woodstock. Sir Danvers, if you would.
Thank you, Sir William. As you all know, Dr. Henry Jekyll is my future son-in-law, but that has not biased my opinion towards him. I think we can all agree that Dr. Jekyll has an extraordinary mind, one which he applies to both his experiments and his lectures with considerable skill. Yet he also holds controversial opinions, and he has come before us today with a proposition for our consideration. I have made no secret in the past of my scepticism regarding Dr. Jekyll's views on the human psyche. However, I believe he is deserving of our time and attention this afternoon. Dr. Jekyll, the floor is yours.
Thank you. And thank you all for taking the time out of your busy schedules to consider me.
To the point, Doctor.
Apologies. What is man? What do we know about him? Do we define man by his physicality? His bearing? No. We measure a man by his behaviour, his words and his actions. But beneath the facade of every man, there is a constant war raging, a war between good and evil. All men, however noble and just they may seem on the surface, have this massive potential for the most cruel and violent behaviour, though we may choose not to act on it. But it does not take much, perhaps an unkind word, a bad day at the office, for a person to snap, and for evil to take over. There is nothing to stop, say, you, Dr. March, from one day deciding you wish to indulge in an act of vice, or to murder an innocent stranger.
The only person Freddie should murder is his tailor.
Hattie!
Enough! Dr. Jekyll, would you be so kind as to explain why this unusual theory of yours requires our funding? And try to be concise.
Of course. Well, having seen this behaviour through the study of prisoners and of patients in some of our psychiatric hospitals, I have determined that the only way to prevent man from succumbing to these baser urges is to eliminate them.
This is work for the clergy, Dr. Jekyll, not the scientific community.
Please! Please. My solution is not psychological, but chemical. I aim to remove man's inclination for violence by chemical means. Through the course of my research, I have developed drugs based on a form of sedative, and injected, first rodents, and then larger animals, with a controlled dosage. Wild beasts have become calm, friendly even, and as I have fine-tuned my formula, I am finding that smaller and smaller doses are needed. Unfortunately, my own finances are no longer able to support my experiments, and I require new equipment and additional supplies if I am to try my formula on a human subject.
A human subject?
Yes, as will become necessary. I am hoping to find a volunteer, possibly from one of the local prisons or hospitals.
Good God.
I know it is controversial, but I can assure you the ends will justify the means.
A bold statement, Dr. Jekyll, but tell me, is it not possible that the reverse might occur? That your drug might cause the evil to override the good?
Well, admittedly, there is a risk.
And you are saying you are willing to risk this on a fellow human being?
Oh, this is precisely why
Enough of this! I think what we have here is simply a self-proclaimed messiah casting out demons with his chemistry set.
More like Dr. Frankenstein. This is outrageous. I, for one, will have no part in it.
Nor will I.
Do you not take this small chance for the betterment of mankind? Please!
Dr. Jekyll, you have presented your case. 2 of my colleagues have voted against the proposal. Due to your personal relationships, Sir Danvers has chosen to abstain on the matter, and I cannot in all good conscience support this endeavour.
What?
You are meddling where man was not meant to go, Dr. Jekyll.
This is an academy of science! And I am a scientist! Man should not be limited by anything but his imagination. That you would vote against such a proposition as this due to a professed sense of morality is ridiculous.
Henry...
Our morals are not in question, Jekyll. Yours are.
I think you are afraid. And from what I've heard, you could benefit from such a formula, all 3 of you, if the gossip from the students is anything to go by. You so-called guardians of common decency are the biggest sinners of them all.
You forget yourself, sir. That's it. Proposition 929 is rejected. Meeting adjourned.
Oh, and thank you for your time, Dr. Jekyll.
Idiots, degenerates, the lot of them. They'd be better suited to living in the Dark Ages. I'm sorry I tarred you with the same brush, Sir Danvers.
Think nothing of it. But you did yourself no favours, Henry. They'll be watching you like a hawk from now on.
Why did you really abstain from voting?
Henry, regardless of what you might think, I do admire your work. But I think the potential cost does not bear thinking about. Imagine if some unscrupulous party were to get a hold of your formula and pervert its nature, changing good to evil? Oh.
I'd rather think your fellow board members might appreciate that.
Henry, you are a fine young man. I abstained because I would sooner do so than actively vote against you, as I unfortunately was inclined to do. Sarah would certainly never forgive me if I did, but make no mistake, I still have high hopes for you. Now, I must be about my business, and I'm sure that you must be about yours. Good afternoon, Henry.
Good afternoon, Sir Danvers.
I brought you a glass of water and some hot soup, sir.
Thank you, Lucy.
Will there be anything else, sir?
No, thank you, Lucy.
Don't work yourself too hard, sir.
Thank you, Lucy. Here, take that young man of yours out to Wilton's. Tell them you're a friend of Henry Jekyll.
Sir!
Good night, Lucy. April 17th, 10 o'clock. With time and money running out, and without a suitable human volunteer, I have made the decision to use myself as the test subject. I vowed to the Board of Governors that I was willing to risk a human life for the benefit of my work, and I intend to do so. Right. I suppose... here goes. And now we wait. I have injected 10 centilitres of the formula HJ7. No immediate effect, but based on previous cases, such a concentrated dose will cause symptoms to develop within approximately 30 minutes. And what if they don't? "32 minutes have now passed, with no noticeable effects. I will cease my experiments tonight and continue with a stronger dose tomorrow. Tomorrow.
Get yourself back in now, you little beast! Can't catch me, can't catch me! Ah!
Out of my way!
You monster! Trampling a little girl! What kind of man are you?
None of your concern. Now out of my way, or receive the same treatment.
Don't struggle, sir. I have you firmly.
I'm not struggling, but I would appreciate you releasing me. Let's not cause a scene.
Cause a scene? What makes you think I won't just call the police?
Let's say £80 for the child's medical bills, and 20 for your silence.
You can't buy me, sir.
Well, don't keep the 20 then. Give it to the family. Send it off to the RSPCC. It's all the same to me.
Very well.
You'll forgive me for not carrying cash in London at night. You never know what sort of men might be lurking around. Pen?
How do I know that this cheque will be honoured?
You don't. You'll just have to trust me. Good night, sir.
The sum of £80 made out to cash from Mr. Edward Hyde.
Hyde. Edward Hyde.
Yes, that was his name.
That's curious.
How so?
Only last week I received a document pertaining to a Mr. Edward Hyde. He was to be the recipient of a large sum of money.
What an odd coincidence.
It gets stranger. Mr. Hyde had been named as a beneficiary in a will, which stated that if the will's author was to disappear for longer than 3 calendar months, all of his holdings, save for a small payment to his household servants, were to be entrusted to the same Mr. Hyde.
The author of this will is clearly a generous man.
Yes. Which leads me to the curious part. The author of the will was Dr. Henry Jekyll.
Henry?
Who, after instructing me in this matter, by letter no less, has all but disappeared. Poole tells me that he's been told to admit no visitors, including Sarah, who's visited more than once.
Do you think that this, Hyde might have something to do with it?
I don't know, but I intend to find out. You might say that if he is Mr. Hyde, then I shall be Mr. Seek.
Boy! Get up and get home to whatever half-wit lacked the sense to marry her. Now piss off. Waste of a good point.
Evening, gorgeous.
My eyes are up here, chummy.
Ignore him. And you, Missy, are late.
Sorry, Sal.
Well, you're lucky I'm such a forgiving soul. Otherwise I'd turf you out on your ass. Now get up there and make them thirsty.
Fill it up. No foam.
Bossy, ain't ya? Oh, a gentleman. We certainly don't get many of you around here.
I can't imagine why. Don't bother. You're not my type.
Can't blame a girl for trying. But if you're looking for a younger lady, you might want to take a look at the stage.
Well, hello, boys. My, what a sea of beautiful faces before me tonight. Reminds me of a little song I know. I have a vision in my proposition, really so simple as you shall all see. My pockets are empty, but I still have plenty of generosity. Though it may be a crime, I like spending my time giving you everything that you deserve. So make your inspection of my collection. I only live to serve. Oh, it seems bizarre to go out in the dark. Hearing the devils, it's better by far to stay in the light. You'll have quite the night if you can afford my price.
What an exquisite creature.
So they say, but if you've got your eye on her, you're about to be disappointed. She's already got herself a fella, and he's very possessive.
Who?
Tom, actually. I don't know his name, but he seems to be a gentleman same as you. Pays for a bed, bread and board. Keeps himself to himself, but I often see him coming to collect her after work.
Thank you.
And I'll tell you this for free, he's a nasty sort. One of those who reckon just because he was born with a silver spoon in his mouth, he can push the rest of us around.
Oh, it seems bizarre to go out in the dark. Hearing the devils, it's better by far to stay in the light. You'll have quite the night if you can afford my price. Thank you, gents. Now, before my next song, I need a little bit of lubrication before I provide you with a little bit more stimulation. Just a small one, Sal.
That's coming out of your wages. I'm not having you drinking me out of house and home. I already had that from my elf. God rest his soul.
I'll pay. Such a fine specimen as yourself should have men clamouring to cover your expenses.
Why, that's most kind of you, sir.
Kindness is one of my many virtues.
Really? And what is such a virtuous gentleman as yourself doing in our glamorous end of this fair city?
I recently had an epiphany. I've been spending too much time doing what is considered good. But lately I've come to realise, quite by accident, how dull living a good life can be.
Too right.
And I've decided life is for the living, and I intend to live my life to the fullest.
Is that so?
Indeed. Tell me, what is your name, my dear?
They call me Rosa.
Along with a few other things. Now stop hobnobbing and get back out there, girl.
Right. You scabby old bat. Well, I'd best be going, Mr.
Hyde. Edward Hyde. At your service.
We'll see about that.
Here, you ain't about to do something stupid, are you?
Do I look like a man who does stupid things? Good night.
Oh, good evening, sir.
Now, Rosa.
Sorry, Your Honour.
That's right, and I'm afraid I have to deliver a very heavy sentence on you, Rosa. I have ruled that you are no longer to work at the Devil's End.
What?
I've seen the way those men look at you, the way they leer and catcall.
Just a bunch of drunken idiots.
Nevertheless, I will inform Miss Garrett that you are handing in your resignation. You'll be working in the kitchen at my home in Knightsbridge, so I might keep a better eye on you.
What about Lady Sayer?
Lady Sayer spends so little time at home these days, I may as well not be married at all. And if she were to complain, certain habits of hers might come to light that she would not want shared in polite society.
Gosh, you really are something, you high society type.
I beg your pardon?
Pretending you're so righteous, when you're really as rotten as the rest of us. Well, grubby as it is, I like my work. I can put up with men sitting around with their tongues hanging out. I'd rather that than some of the things you make me do.
You filthy whore! You think I like hurting you? All I want to do is look after you. You'd be nothing without me. You'd be back to selling yourself on the streets of Soho for 10 pence a night. There, I'm sorry. I'll make it up to you. Here, I almost forgot. Call it a little resignation bonus. Now, can I see a smile?
Yeah. You can see a smile. We're through. Sod your necklace.
Stupid girl.
Lovers quarrel?
Who are you, sir?
Oh, no one really. A fellow admirer of the fairer things in life.
You dress like a gentleman. What are you doing here in this part of town?
I could ask you the same question, Your Honour.
What?
Well, that is your name, isn't it? The Right Honourable Sir William Sayer, GCMG.
You must have me mistaken.
Oh, I don't think so.
Please, if you want money...
If I want money, I'll take it.
£200. I'll write you a cheque.
You would give £200 for your own life, yet you wouldn't give less than half of that for the betterment of mankind?
What?
Your Honour, I put it to you that you are a lecherous, hypocritical, adulterous deviant, and I cannot, in all good conscience, allow you to continue in your endeavours.
My God.
Goodbye, Your Honour. Love the sin, hate the sinner.
Read all about it! Respected judge found murdered in the streets of Soho! Hey, that's a shilling, mister.
Oh, I am sorry.
Ta?
Oh, wait. It's a cold day out today. Get yourself something warm.
Thank you, sir.
Have a good day.
Mr. Utterson, what may I do for you?
Good day, Paul. I need to speak to Henry about a very urgent matter of business.
If I may say so, sir, I hope you are met with more success than previous callers.
Such as Miss Carew?
I'm afraid so, sir. She has visited more than once to no avail. Mr. Utterson, sir, asking to see you. Sir? Tell him I cannot see him.
Henry, I have business with you. It concerns your finances.
Now, are you going to tell me why you woke me up at this ungodly hour in the morning?
It's 10:30, Henry.
Really? I'm sorry. I've been working late so often at the moment, I haven't been sleeping as much as I should.
I can see that, Henry. Now, I have something very important to discuss with you. It's about the amendment to the will you wanted me to make.
What about it?
Henry, who is Mr. Edward Hyde? You never mentioned him until you wrote to me 3 weeks ago.
And I told you not to ask.
I wouldn't, except for something Richard told me.
What did he tell you?
He met a man named Edward Hyde a few days ago after the man practically trampled the little girl. Henry, did you hear me?
I'm sorry. Trampled? Are you sure it was the same man?
Richard told me the man who wrote him a cheque under that name to pay for the child's medical bills and to avoid causing a scene. Henry, did this Mr. Hyde coerce you into changing your will?
I told you.
Henry, are you being blackmailed by this man?
Mind your own business! I'm so sorry, John. You have to trust me on this. Hyde is a business partner of mine. He's been supporting me in my work. That's why I've been at home this time. He said he'll only continue to fund me if I can prove I'm getting results. And the clause in my will is collateral. But I can get rid of him whenever I want, I promise you.
You promise?
Yes.
Henry, I'm not trying to interfere with your business. I just want to make sure you're okay.
I know. I'm sorry, John.
Good day, Henry. Don't overwork yourself. You have a wedding to look forward to, remember?
Yes. Yes, I do. Thank you, John. And so, new medications like paraldehyde are being produced to cause what we call a sedative effect, which, as opposed to old drugs which simply induce tiredness, can actually lead to relaxing the mind at its basest form. Further experimenting... my apologies. Might be able to identify and target those centre of the brain responsible for triggering anxiety... Studies of the body's nervous system being undertaken by Professor Heinrich Obsteiner of Vienna.
Ladies and gentlemen, please excuse Dr. Jekyll. He has been feeling a little unwell lately. Probably overworked from trying to read all of your papers. If you would all like to continue to your next lecture, Dr. Jekyll will send you all of the relevant notes from today's lecture. There you are. Henry, this can't go on. You've been missing lectures, and when you do show up, you've either come unprepared or you manage to fall asleep at your lectern.
I know, Sir Danvers, and I'm sorry.
This doesn't look good, Henry. The governors have been spreading around the rumour that you're coming in exhausted because you've been up all night drinking.
That simply isn't true. I've been working late, is all.
On your lectures? No, of course not. You mustn't let these bizarre experiments take you away from what you've worked so hard to achieve. If your erratic behaviour continues, then I'm afraid that as the new chairman of the Board of the Governors, I would be obliged to have you removed from your post.
But without any income from the college, I wouldn't be able to support myself.
Well, you could always go back to private practice.
I haven't treated a patient in years. Medicine was always my job, but Science was my dream.
Well, you must never let go of your dreams, but sometimes you have to give them time. You're about to be married, after all.
I know.
I don't mind telling you that several students and a number of the professors have suggested you be put forward to fill the missing governor's position. But you have to work for it, Henry. Dr. March and Lady Woodstock will take some convincing to agree. But with the support of the teaching body, you will take on the role. And I won't be abstaining on the issue this time. Now, come, take a day out, sleep, and when you return you can start afresh. I've had the pleasure of listening to enough of your lectures to know how brilliant a speaker you can be.
Thank you, Sir Danvers. Oh, and, send Sarah, my love.
Yes, I will. But if I were you, I would take a little more time out to see her before the wedding. My daughter is not as patient as I am.
Of course. Good afternoon, Sir Danvers.
I've told you, you're too young to be drinking here. Get yourself home. Try not to get trampled again.
But I've been working so hard today, and I'm so thirsty.
Then you better get home sharpish. I'm not having your ma coming around here shouting that I've gotten her precious baby drunk.
Again?
You be quiet.
But I've got 2 whole sovereigns.
Sweetheart, I don't want your money. But I could rustle you up some stew if you're hungry.
No thanks, Miss Scarrett. Bye, Miss Rosa.
Oi! What's wrong with my stew? Bloody cheek.
Hello, Rosa.
What? Oh, it's you, Mr. Hyde. You startled me.
Please, call me Edward. And there's no need to be frightened of me. Come, sit with me.
I'm on cleaning duties, I'm afraid. My other source of income has unfortunately dried up.
What a pity. We'll have to see about that. I can't allow a lovely thing like you to get dishpan hands every night.
If you're offering me a position, you can keep it.
She's been in enough positions to last her a lifetime.
Oh, Sal, can you give me a minute's peace?
May I remind you, madam, that you work for me, not the other way around.
2 large mugs of your finest and a little privacy, if you don't mind. Now, where were we?
You were talking about my...
Your recent misfortune, yes. Well, I've purchased a room not far from here, and I don't use it often. If you keep it clean for me, you may have it.
All right. What's the catch?
No catch.
Can I still do my singing?
I wouldn't have it any other way. It would be a crime not to share your talent with the world.
Oh, you flatter, sir. You really do.
Come, let me take you out to celebrate. Somewhere a little more prepossessing.
Oi! Where do you think you're going?
Oh, you are awful, Freddie. But I love you.
Baby! 2 sherries!
Such a rich texture.
I'll say.
Freddie! Not here! Thank you, Barrymore. You can go. Must you ogle all of my household staff, Freddie?
I'm sorry, Evie, but you know me. My body is a slave to the desires that I struggle to overcome. They burn inside me like the flames of hell itself.
You are extremely drunk.
That makes 2 of us.
I do wish I could convince Danny to attend more of my little soirees. He's so fine and upstanding. I want to see what he's like with a few glasses of port down him.
You'll never manage it. Sir Danvers is probably the most Puritan parliamentarian I have ever had the unpleasantness to meet. Besides, he'll probably insist that you invite that Jekyll of his.
Oh, spare me. I could forgive him being completely insane, but he's just so boring. Other than these ludicrous ideas about the spirit of man, who've never put a foot wrong. You'd be better off as a priest.
Or Christ! Well, when I had to treat him a few years ago, I went through his files.
Naughty boy.
And apparently, his poor mother was carted off to Bedlam House with acute porphyria. Never came out.
Freddie, you know I'm not a doctor. Speak to me more simply.
Lunacy turns your water purple. The Mad King had it.
Maybe our Jekyll's inherited more than just cash from his late departed mother and father. Aside from the scars, of course.
Yes, I suppose even I have to feel for him there. Mad mother and a fiendish father. Oh, I believe I alliterated.
Well, continue your mastery of the English language somewhere else. I'll have Mary make up the spare room for you. Perhaps those fires will be quenched when you wake up.
Oh, you're no fun. Come to tuck me in?
Something like that.
Freddie? Freddie, why aren't you asleep? Freddie?
He can't hear you, Lady Woodstock.
Who? Barrymore, is that you? Who?
It's okay. I'm going to count to 3. Then I'm going to take my hand away. Understood? Good. 1, 2, 3. Good. Now, let's take a look at you. My, you even make yourself up for bed.
What do you want? My jewellery? Don't hurt me.
No.
I have diamonds, pearls, or if you want, I won't scream.
You're much mistaken, I'm afraid. Why would I want such a vain, arrogant airhead as you?
Who are you?
Dr. Frankenstein.
That was the first part of The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson. It was adapted for radio by David Stevens. The role of Dr. Jekyll was played by David Stevens. Chloe Barrett played Rosa Hopkins, and Hannah Batra, Sarah Carew. Mr. Utterson was played by Connor Jeffrey, Sir Danvers Carew by Owen Barton, Richard Enfield by Nat Gibbard, and Harry Lanyon by Lyndon Burt. Sir William Sayer was Alex Knight, Dr. March, Fergus Walmsley, and Lady Evelyn Woodstock, Lottie Hanson. Sal was Kerry Barrett, Lucy, Adele Stewart, Paul, Jeff Farr, Emily, Sophie Stewart, Charlie, Summer Cooper, and Charlie's mother, Amelia Brookshaw. All other parts were played by members of the company. The production was directed by Amelia Brookshaw and David Stevens. Original music was provided by Lottie Hanson. This play was a Shambles Performing Arts production.